The view presented on this broadcast does not necessarily represent that of Rise Multiversity or its individual members.
Welcome. This is Sienna Lea, and I'm here with Rise Multiversity with Kelly Lachey and a group of women who have been working in Embody U over the last year. These women have been doing the inner work and supporting themselves and each other through the rising tides of the shift and the change that we're all experiencing. Okay, today is November 15th, 2015, 2 days after the Paris attack. Whether it is a staged event or an authentic event, reports are pouring in. We're all reeling from the violence and the assault, the news of death and destruction. Yet again, the invasion of Europe, the whole immigration crisis, and so much more. It's very hard to rise right now with so much sadness and horror and terror forever in our faces. Rise has been created to empower and support people through their awakening in these very times. And so we wanted to bring the group together and share our experience of how transmuting our own pain bodies and owning our own shadows and connecting with our own infinite potential and sovereign truth is informing our lives for a whole different outcome. We do this to reach out, to open ourselves, to be vulnerable, to share with you, so that the coherent field of love, care, and joyous unfoldment of a new, whole, integrous, and expanding reality gains momentum and voice. I'd also like to bring on Kelly Lachey. She's one of the mentors of Rise. She's the founder of our Stance movement that we just launched through Rise and is up now on the Rise Multiversity YouTube channel. The creator of Liquid Mirror work, the author of that book, and a dear friend. Kelly?
Yes, and the purpose of what we're sharing with everyone today is anyone that's interested or attracted to this kind of work is that those of us that disagree, that we have this feeling inside that we do not consent with what we see. What's going on in Europe is what has always been going on. It's been going on in the United States. It's been going on every continent. And now all of a sudden we're upset. No, this has been a gift for us to realize that we really should be in disagreement with what's going on. And so what we are becoming, the purpose of our incarnation, our courageous incarnation here, is we came here to be shamanic activists, using our intention to create the world that we want to live in. And to be able to do that, we must clean out the fears and doubts and triggers that keep our intention from being powerful and precise. Precision is the most powerful thing. So to have your intention, your precision in your intention, we must clean out the old wounds, the emotional wounds and the triggers, that the landmines within our own souls that keep us from being the powerful creators that we intended to come here to be. And there's satiation in the practice of our intention because that soul purpose satisfied. So the work that Sienna and I do in Embody U is to create that foundational place within the soul to where we're not carrying around these doubts and insecurities and fears and triggers so that we can be powerful and effective in shamanic ceremony together. So the groundwork that we're offering you today, and the women that are going to speak have been through 2 Embody U groups, my group and Sienna's group, and they've experienced a profound change in their lives and precision now in their ceremonies and more effective results in their ceremonies. And so we are bringing everyone together today so that they can share their experiences with you. And we're very grateful. The group that the thing is we've this retribing thing, because everyone feels so isolated in their awakening. And the benefit of coming together in community like we have with these beautiful women is we can relate to one another and share things together and go through deep process together in safe, sacred space. And so we've all gotten very close. We're all just friends on equal ground now. It's a beautiful thing that we've experienced together. So we brought everyone together today so that you can experience what they've experienced, and invite you to join us in this movement that we're doing together.
Yes, it's so incredibly important that we do come out of separation now, because whether this attack and the other ones are staged drama, or whether there was a massacre of 159 people in the city of love in Paris, which is in all of our hearts, it was still an attack on that. And the whole immigration crisis is all about polarizing people against each other, breeding fear and hatred, and making us go so isolated and want to hide because the pain is so great, and projecting our shadows on each other. And this is the plan, regardless of anything else. If they can keep us fragmented and isolated and hurting, they've won. It's a war against us. And they don't have any other power. It's very effective. It's you can see the news. People there's so much polarization going on, but we know that even if our numbers start out small, if we can really come out of the shadows and own what is troubling us in our projections, and live through our wounds and create the healing and experiencing that, which this group of people have done. I don't mean that it's over. They're in the process of, so that we are actually being raw and naked and vulnerable and showing depths of what we've faced and what we've lived through. And no one's freaking out and attacking and blaming each other. We work through it. And it's creating an amazing safety net that wasn't there before in our lives. And we feel very much that is our solution. And, we're not saying, oh, rah, rah, everybody join Rise. Do it in your own way. We see this as small micro groups all over we just want to model it. We'd love you to join us. There was not a hidden agenda. We're not becoming millionaires around this. We're really doing this from pure intent to the best of our ability. And, okay. Kelly, did you want to say anything more before I bring on? And these ladies are being very brave. I don't know if any of them have ever even done a podcast before. We have asked them to show up and speak really deeply and truly of what they've been through. So I'm really grateful for all of you ladies that you're brave enough and caring enough to show up and give this a try, because this is not an easy thing to do. I mean, Kelly and I have done a lot of podcasts. We're seasoned in this world, and to bring your inside out and reveal it to the world is a courageous stance to take. So first of all, I really want to thank you for giving it your best shot. So can you share where you began a year ago? What were your blocks, your issues, your walls, and the places in you that you were seeking to transform? Patty? Okay.
Okay. Well, when I first came in, I knew that I wanted to learn more about myself, but I didn't realize the depth. And then I found a place where there were people who could talk about anything. And not everybody always has exactly the same concept of how things work or what the belief is, but that's okay. That's one of the beauties of this space, is everybody's open for everyone. And I really found a place where others opened up, and then it gave me the trust that I could open up. And then it was like I found this space, and then some big things happened in my personal life that had nothing to do with the people, but I had this foundation there that was, I mean, the timing was so impeccable, so coincidental, that I had big things, serious stuff, broke up my family to a certain degree. And I had people that I could talk to who would be honest, and not that it's counseling. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they were there for me. And then I had some groups like the EU, Embody U, and I really could focus on myself, and I really learned to like kind of love myself there. And then I took the Sovereign You and a Shadow Genesis, and then luckily I got a little foundation of myself and loving myself more, and then I went into like shadow stuff, and I had other people who were doing shadow things and finding parts of themselves that weren't as pretty, but you know, before I can go out there and do what I feel like I want to do and have the love, I have to have it in here. I have to clean out my space as much as I can, and then I can see better. I can like take the glasses off, so to speak, because I had these glasses on. I didn't know I had them on, and it was a certain vision of myself and the world, and then I took them off. And when you take them off, it can be a little startling because you're seeing things about yourself and the world, and they're kind of scary. Now I feel like I'm in the truth. I'm in the truth of myself. I'm in the truth of the world. And the biggest truth is that I'm open for new truths, because sometimes what you know is the truth can change. It doesn't mean it's not true. It just means there's a deeper, something deeper to see. So I feel like what's going on in the world is a lot of almost what's in my personal space. I feel like I've been given such a strength about myself that I can look out there and I can see it. And I'm not saying that people didn't die. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it was just, maybe they did. Even if they did die, it doesn't mean that I'm going into a space of hopelessness and helplessness. I'm going into a space of more belief of what my future and the future of the people. I want to keep that love of what is possible, but not ignore what is actually happening in the world right now, but not give it all the power. The power is in the knowledge. I want to know, but I don't want to be lost in it. And so I really, for me personally, like Sienna said, not every place is for everyone. This definitely is my place, honestly. Like I found my home, so to speak, with the way that Sienna and Kelly facilitate things. It really has been what I personally needed. So we're open to everyone, and we would love for people to come and just see if we fit that spot, perhaps, because I'm all about as many people as possible becoming them true selves, their true selves, and then that can ripple out into the world. It's like that 100th monkey thing, I guess.
I have a question, Patty, and feel free to say you don't want to answer it because it's
I'm good. I'm open with everything.
Without maybe diving into too many intimate details, you went through a major shift in your relationship, and you experienced being a caregiver for your mother, and your mother's crossing over, and a separation from your husband, a breakup in your family. You went through a lot of really deep things. Where did you find the strength to navigate through this inside yourself? What was that process for you?
Well, I have to be honest that a lot of the women open up to me personally about things, and it's that trust thing where you can connect with someone. I felt heard. I felt like you guys really heard me, you really supported me, and there was no negativity against, say, like my husband. There was nobody, no beating up. It was supported. Everyone supported everyone around me. I mean, not physically or directly with my husband, but they helped me see him also. Am I making sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that Kelly's Lachey's work, The Liquid Mirror, talks about shoring up the leaks and not outsourcing our need for love. And did any of the realizations in that work, and there's a workbook and there's step-by-step processes. Did any of those insights impact your ability to navigate those huge changes in relationship?
Yeah, it made me look at myself, because I was, we want to look at the other person. And especially if you have a situation that happens, it seems like a big situation. Oh, look what they did. But it helped me. It didn't make me. It gave me the opportunity to go inside myself and do forgiving for myself too, and seeing how I contributed to, it takes two to tango, as they say, to help contribute to things not being as cohesive, or whatever word, copacetic, or whatever word you want to pick. But yes, I saw myself in things, and sometimes I didn't want to. I was mad. When I had to look at my husband to see, and I looked for the things of myself in there, and I'm like, I don't see it. No. And then it took time. It sort of like had to ease its way in there. And then I was like, oh, I see myself here. Oh, I see myself here. So yeah, it was very, very helpful. It was very helpful. And I went on my own pace. I didn't try to push myself. I just let every day happen, and try not to be too heavy on myself, because that's what I learned.
Self-love, Patty. Can you speak to us about self-love? Did you have any when you began this process?
This is so funny. I thought I did. I like myself, I think. But then I realized that I had this thing back there, wherever, doing the opposite. I didn't know that I didn't love myself. If people said, are you happy? Yes, I am. Are you happy with yourself? Yes, I am. But now I really am. Like, I can see myself I'll just say in my ugliness, and I don't mean that in a literal sense. I'm going to get upset. I love myself in the parts of myself that I don't want to see. Is that, yeah, that feels so good right now. I mean, that is what I was offered, and I took. I'll say that's what I was given. I was given the opportunity to, and so when I'm loving myself in my faults, now I can love you in your faults too. And then when we accept each other for everything, and there's nothing we don't need to hide anymore. The hiding that's the problem. And I was hiding from myself. I didn't even know it. So you might not even know. You think everything is great. You might, but it's not in here. I can feel that so much inside right now, you guys. It's like I can feel this energy. It's almost like butterflies. It's almost like nervousness. It's almost like the fear you're getting ready to get on the roller coaster, and like you're excited about doing it, but yet it's sort of, that's how I'm feeling, but it's good. It's really good.
And if I might ask as well, the pairing exercises were part of it, and Sienna designed the pairing exercises to where it was safe space to share all these things with each person in the group, and they it's just like reflective listening to where they're not judging you, they're not advising you. And because normally in relationships, in our regular everyday 3D lives, we are sharing something with someone and they're like, well, do this and do that and fix it this way, rather than just listening and holding space. And with the getting to do it with each person in the group, that's a huge part of it. Can you share some of that?
Yes. I really learned from the actual listening part, like the being quiet and the supporting someone without either having to help them or, trusting that and then just being able for me to speak my piece and know that someone is supporting me and giving me the space that I need. Yes, that was really good, because you don't get that in regular conversations. So I like the way that was set up, Sienna. I like that you just sit still and you let someone say their thing, and no one is judging or making comments. And we're not feeling that way. It's not like people aren't just saying it. You really feel that everyone is honestly open. They really are open to you, and they really are there for you, because that's who's coming here. We all want to help. We all want help. So we're honestly helping someone else, and we honestly want help for ourselves. So yeah, that was wonderful. I learned, I don't think we realize that we have little tidbits of wisdom to even share with each other. Even if you're not someone who's been reading lots of books or taking classes, everyone has something that they can say in their own right that is shared with someone else. Like when you're witnessing someone in being in their truth, you can learn something about yourself. And you can take something that is for them, for yourself. It's such a sharing. It's so wonderful. There's no one person. It's all of us.
Well, there is a global awakening that's reaching critical mass, and this is why we're being attacked so viciously. It's an unstoppable force. The love in our hearts is opening up so wide, and we need places to share how deeply we love. And in our vulnerability, in our heart essence, in our truth without restriction. This is a grassroots awakening. Nobody owns it. Nobody can control it. As much as you guys are trying to out there, it's already reached critical mass. Now we're just trying to create containers where it can manifest, ground, expand, and that our intention gets to live. That was really beautiful. Patty, thank you so much for your share. Wow.
Well, thank you for giving the space for me to grow this much. Thank you.
It's our honor to do so. It's a full circle, because we're not, the whole model of we're the therapist, the counselor, or we're the priest, or we have the way and the truth. It's all bullshit. Every heart charts its own way. We're sovereign beings. We have huge wisdom. And the whole idea is to get out of the way and let each other emerge. So, and, I have a huge chatter to transmute. This is my service. This is my alchemy, where I can calm my own ego more and more of the time and allow that. And it allows my soul. The service is the alchemy. The contributionism, as Jerry would say, is the alchemy. And we're stepping into that together. And it's really is, I don't want to use the savior word, because that is got so much corruption attached to it. We're saving ourselves. That's all I can say. Yeah. Kelly?
I concur. Yes. So who's next?
So Allison, I don't know if you heard. Let me repeat this. So we're asking you if you can share where you began a year ago. What were your blocks, your walls, the places that needed to transform? And what did you go through? And where are you now? Kind of thing.
Thank you, Sienna. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to share the journey. It's really been incredible. It's been an amazing group of people from the very start, and that's where I started. May, and it's been more than a year for me. May was the very first group of 2014, and I wasn't quite sure what I was joining when I signed up. I was terrified at that point. In my own journey, had been through almost 4 years of a deconstruction of my being. It was precipitated by a cascade of losses, and I was in deep grief that went into a dark night of the soul, that went into an existential crisis, and went into a complete, as I said, deconstruction of everything that I thought I knew about myself, about my world, about God and spirituality and purpose. It was a great big question mark, and it was a painful one, because what do you believe in when you have no beliefs? What do you believe in when there is nothing that is of comfort? There's nothing to hold on to. And through that journey, a massive amount of inquiry led to some very interesting answers. And through George and Kelly and E. Lorgan, and then you, Sienna, I was wrapped finally in some notions of what might be actual. I don't want to say real. Real is kind of a fuzzy word. Can be a perception from a street corner. But actual, like what's actually happening. That was where I found in you all some notion, some semblance of resonance that I dared to tiptoe towards. And almost 2 years ago now, in December, I realized that I had come to the end of the journey that I could take on my own, and I needed to reach out for help, additional help. I was financially shattered along with everything else. So it was a very, very tender journey out to find a close enough resonance to find anyone that I could relax enough with to enter a healing state. And that first outreach was to Kelly, and her soul retrieval sessions, I've had more than one, were a remarkable homecoming. It was very valuable in regrouping and reclaiming myself. Shortly thereafter, I got the newsletter, saw the announcement for Rise, and signed up for those future events. And with the very first group, we got to meet another group of people. We got to meet a group of people who were real people, not dabblers in the truth, not let's just get our kicks on and see what weirdo stuff we can get into. This was a real group of people you would meet on the street corner, people that you would stand in the line at the supermarket with, people who were asking the big question, what the actual F is going on, and really, really wanting to know, even if it rocked their world, or wanting some stability in the world that had already been rocked. So the place I came to, I called myself rabbit-hearted. I was terrified. I had been through such a painful experience. It was very difficult to share that experience with others. And I was equally tender in hearing other people's stories, being so compassionate to their pain. And slowly, in the partner pairings that we did, where the listener is relieved of the caretaking role. We don't have to fix each other. We're not there to offer advice, as Kelly said. We're not there to pull up some wisdom from the depths of our being that we hadn't quite reached. We just got to be. We got to be there for each other. It's an exercise in compassion, listening and being there for someone to express themselves in a format that has just enough structure to allow us to not veer off on tangents. We stay focused on a particular question that we ourselves have chosen to answer. But then in that space, we get to go deep within our own wisdom, and we get to hear ourselves out of the cacophony of everyday life, where we're all fighting to be heard in one way or another, fighting to be seen. It's an opportunity to just be in that space for that amount of time. And taking that exercise, this active listening into the world, into my relationships at home and at work, and even in the supermarket line, it's amazing what it does to heal in connecting with other people. We don't have to jump in and interrupt. We can just be there, just looking at someone in the eyes and acknowledging their presence is immensely healing. So these are tools that we use within Embody U, but they transcend Embody U. And I love the name of Embody U because that appealed to me. I had learned all this stuff. I had not embodied it. It was time to bring in what was up here in here. It's pulling that down into our heart core center and then living from that, expressing it authentically, shedding the layers of all the stuff that we aren't. We've lived a lot of our life being who we aren't, doing things that aren't authentic because that was expected of us, or it's our societal norm, or it's our social context. So the embodiment is really an amazing gift. It's a tremendous gift to ourselves. And Sienna has offered us a space, a safe space to do that within. We're real people. You would walk down the street and walk right by any one of us and say, I didn't know that about her. And there's more and more of us out there. So this is a tremendous place to congregate and acknowledge that there is stuff going on in the world. And we do have a choice with our intentions, with our heart and our voice, as clear as we can be. So as I participated in Embody U, Kelly was the second session that I did, and her liquid mirror work was tremendously helpful for me in particular. I loved the energy reclamation and returning, that noticing our energy leaks. That was an amazing idea for me and very helpful in storing up and just resolving. It's a lot of resolution of where we allow others into our space and we extend ourselves without even really knowing it. So that in a nutshell was my experience with liquid mirror. That was the most important thing that I experienced in the realm of all of the valuable exercises. Kelly and Sienna together made an awesome team. They very, very empathic and caring and generous with their insights. Very helpful, all of them. And as I continued on with Embody U, it swung around into the Shadow Genesis session that we just concluded, the first one, and the diving deep that Patty mentioned. Oh my goodness, I thought I'd spent years diving deep, not of my own will. and I thought, oh my gosh, do I really want to do this? Do I want to continue to dive deep? I'm a little breathless as it is, but the trust that had built up in the group was so genuine and so healing in and of itself. There was really no question about moving forward. It was just having the bravery to do so. And from the time we began in August until the time we concluded in October, I'm transformed. I am more myself. I am a richer individual. I am more clear, and not just on my past, but on the next chapter that George Kavasilis has said we haven't written yet. So that's quite a chapter to write, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything in the world. And I'm so looking forward to Shadow Genesis too, because if we've gotten this far in a handful of months, we're just exponentially going, beyond, way beyond. So thank you again, Sienna. It has been a tremendous journey, and nothing to regret.
It's been my honor. You're most welcome.
Hi, I started with EU a year ago. I had been looking for years, I've been actively engaged in especially emotional healing work for decades, and a seeker all of my life. And I finally, in the late summer of 2014, I realized that I needed to find something to help me walk the next steps, really. And shortly after that, within a week or two, I found out about Rise. And there was one going on at the time, but there was a group that was going to start in October. And so I was about to sign up for that when my beloved husband passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. And so that's where I started. I was looking before he passed, I was really looking for finding, without calling them shadows, I didn't use that word, but I thought of them as the dark, unseen parts of myself. I was looking for some guidance into going in that direction. And so I had that, and then I was in the aftermath of with the trauma and the grief and the pain and all of it with the sudden passing. I found myself absolutely terrorized and basically down underneath. There were things to do and I kept going, but down underneath I was pretty terrorized. And so I started with the group, and through the liquid mirror work, I found a very simple and effective way that Kelly uses to be able to go back to the source of wounds, and there be able to cleanse those wounds and release what it is that's being held there, and to fill myself with love. And so began the process of going through everything that came up in my life as a trigger to use to go back and find out the source. And almost everything went back to in utero or birth or just shortly after birth. Most everything. It was amazing. And then, so there were a couple of rounds of that, and then we started our shadow genesis work. I will say a word about the pairing, because the pairing was incomparably valuable to me, because I lost my best friend, and we used to talk very deeply. And all of a sudden, I had people, more than one person, I had people that I could sit and share with, completely accepted. And I, in turn, got to do the same for them. And it is one of the most marvelous experiences that one can ever have. I mean, for me, it is one of the most marvelous experiences. And then into the shadow genesis work, which has been absolutely incredible. It is amazing to be able to go back in one's history, back in one's past lives, and find the genesis of the shadows or the dark areas in oneself, the unconscious areas that are driving everything. Where you're not conscious, it's driving you. It's controlling you. And I know I have more to go, but I've faced a really big chunk, and it has made such an incredible difference in my life, in my world, in how I view the world, in the love I have for myself. And I did have self-love, but I didn't really, I mean, I had a sense that where I didn't know myself, the places that were in the shadows, I mean, I understood it intellectually, and I really had a heart sense too, that I could not love myself there. But now I know it. And I experienced that, and coming to love even these dark places. And that is absolutely incredible. I'm not even quite sure what else to say. I mean, I could say everything about how it's changed my life. But it was a beautiful process, actually, going through from Kelly's work and the pairing all the way through Kelly's work and through the shadow genesis with Sienna. And with the pairing and then with the shadow genesis. It's just, so now I am much more confident than I have ever been. I am in love with myself. I'm not saying there isn't more to go, but I'm in love with myself. And I've realized and understood so much through this work. There have been pieces here and there and everywhere. And the other mentors of Rise, George Vassilis, Carla Fox, in particular, those two for me, along with Kelly and Sienna, and my own inner work and my interactions with all of these beautiful people here, and the ones that you don't see that have been involved, I've been able to put puzzle pieces, my own jigsaw puzzle. I'm putting those puzzle pieces together and understanding myself and my journey and where I came from and why. And it's very exciting.
Thank you. Thank you for being who you are and for being willing to share at the level of what we have here.
You want to ask one specific thing? You could.
Yeah, I was going to ask how all of that computed into dealing with the ongoing meltdown and the ongoing destruction and death and horror and terror that's billowing through all of the media at the planet right now. How does this work inform your reactivity in regards to that, or anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I've understood for a long time that the makeup of the power behind the scenes and all of that. But I used to be much more reactionary. I used to be much more outraged and enraged. And I now look back and can see how much food I provided for those guys who just love that stuff. And through this work, and in part sourcing my wounds, in part facing my shadows and dealing with the emotional states there, I've come to a point of I have to say I've come to a point of acceptance in a lot of ways for the way things are. Not that I condone it, not at all. And in fact, I say no. That contract's up. That contract's been broken by that side a long time ago.
I have a few quotes of Carl Jung that I want to season this discussion with. I'm called to do so. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Indeed. And so now it's like, well, really, I really do feel that each one of us made decisions on a soul level before we came into this incarnation. And that we each, like my husband and I've remembered the contract that we had, that he would leave at this time. During this past year, I've remembered that. And so my energy is not going out into the outrage and the enraged place that I used to be in when one of these things would happen. Anything like this would happen. Any horrific thing in the world would happen. Now my energy is going first into myself, to center myself, so that I can be effective, so that I am not going outside of myself and therefore, possibly providing some energetic food.
Thank you. Yes. Cynthia, good. I have another one, if I may.
Okay. Yeah.
Carl Jung. Whatever is rejected from the self appears in the world as an event.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. As within, so without. As above, so below. I've really seen that as a truth.
We're going to have to move on. I'm sorry to cut you short, but this is a lot for people to wrap themselves around. So I'm going to say thank you so much. And you look so beautiful today. So much light in your face. I remember at the beginning, you would be sitting in the darkness in that old ancient witch face, and all of her pain and insanity was informing your visage, and it's just been integrated, and I don't see it other than as a part of you, but it certainly is not a dominating force any longer. Bravo. Good work.
Thank you.
All right. Liz or Lauren? Who would like to go next? Either? Okay. Liz? Can you share where you began a year ago? What were your blocks, your walls, the places that needed to transform? And then, where are you now? What key realizations, experiences, and support have you received that have made all of the difference? That's a lot.
It is.
No.
No.
I know it's really challenging, but
No, that's okay. Blocks. Wow. Thinking back.
or just
like
where
one
did you
big
begin?
block.
Okay, go ahead.
One big block. I mean, I think I'd been hiding for so long and telling myself I'd been happy for so long when I really wasn't. And I've been searching for something for a really long time, trying different things, reading different things, and maneuvered to rise. And when I signed up for Embody U, I realized I was going to have to participate. And in the beginning, when they said, okay, now everybody tell something about yourself, sheer panic mode, because I'm going to have to speak in front of people. So I muddled through, and I'm sure probably sounded okay, but was not okay on the inside, and realized so many things I needed to work on. First, just not hiding from myself. So by joining Embody U, if I hadn't, I wouldn't be here talking right now. I really couldn't have done this. And the liquid mirror, invaluable. I mean, just reading the book, I had a couple of spontaneous soul retrievals. I mean, it just started happening, and I let it happen. And they were unbelievably moving experiences. And then being able to share that with someone who would get it, who would understand, who would listen, who wouldn't judge, was amazing. And through the pairing, the realizations that I came to, you start speaking and you're thinking, I'm talking nonsense. I know this is an issue. And as you talk it out to someone, but for yourself, it's amazing the realizations that you came to, or I've come to for myself, and then listening to others do the same by allowing them that time without interruption to figure it out for themselves or for myself. Totally amazing. Another thing is emotions. I was very blocked, and I'm tough, not so tough. By stuffing all that for years and years, it took a long time to be able to really express real emotions. And going from Embody U to the Shadow Genesis, I think that's the biggest thing for me in Shadow Genesis, where I have learned to really express how I feel and not judge myself. You shouldn't feel like that. Just feel it. Just allow it. Allow it to happen. And there's so many realizations I came to just of my own abilities, things that I thought about myself and realized about myself are invaluable. Just 2 days ago, as I was driving in my car, there was a solidness to myself that I don't think I've ever felt, a sureness that came over me that, wow, definitely was not there a year ago. So, yeah, I think every one of you, and Sienna for allowing this to be available. Sorry.
Step on your dog.
I'm not sure what happened, but hey, you know, life happens. I think it's a bear alarm.
Really? Oh, we might have a special guest visitor here.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. But hey, life happens, and
That's right.
it's all good. It's all good. So
Thank
cool.
you. It was brave. Totally. Okay. I'm just so taken with, I've learned so much from each one of you. I've grown so much from being in this with you. And, you know, in this new paradigm, that's what's happening. My mentor, Aisha Love, is on the other side at the moment. She was really a stickler for getting out of the way and not controlling and manipulating and laying your trips and your belief system or your authority on others, that the sheer act of creating this egalitarian space for humanity to hold that in the way that the feminine, and that can be a man, but the feminine side of our souls can hold space, that unconditional love, that presence, that field is what heals. The field is what heals. We are learning to do that for ourselves and for one another. It is our birthright, and it is our time. And that's all that's happening here, really. It isn't some exclusive elite information. It's pouring out of all of our hearts. Each one of us has given the other ones incredible insight as we open to our truth. So I just want to reiterate that. Thank you. It's been an honor to see your unfoldment. You have the beauty that is grounded. And that thing you said is, because we haven't been given the right to be real to ourselves. And the grounding, Carla Fox's work with the grounding and all of the amazing work that, because all of you, I want to say, did have clearings with Carla Fox. And that dealt with a lot of the alien interference and the multidimensional beings and all of, because we do deal with the total multidimensional self. And Carla was brilliant at that. And so this was the cleanup where our authentic essence would come back after that level of clearing. And then we needed to become real, feeling, integrated human beings, and whatever we needed to face and own and integrate and experience and love just emerged because we allowed that to happen. Yeah. Okay. So, Lauren, are you ready to jump in here?
I am.
Yeah, Lauren, I really want you to take some time, if you're willing to share. I mean, you don't have to go into all the details, but of the challenges that you had at the beginning, and a bit about you, physical challenges, just a lot of things, what you've gone through.
Yeah.
And even though we do need to be succinct, take your time.
Okay. No pressure. Okay, here I go. Let me see if I can organize my brain. Let me see if I can organize this brainstorm map that my brain works in all the time. Okay. So, I guess I want to start out by saying that in the beginning, before I found this and found everybody, I was really, in a self-transformational place, but from a witnessing place of looking at what was going on around me, the world, sneaking behind the curtain and seeing what's controlling what, being a little bit, what's the word when you're getting into the drama of it all, and also, learning about what was going on, but I didn't know how I fit in personally and how I could participate. And then I spoke with Kelly, and Kelly said, I want you to get involved to, and she posed it as a chance for me to have a voice and to get on a level that wasn't just witnessing and studying, but participating and co-creating how we can take what we have witnessed and turn it into what we can do to remedy the situation. And I said, I don't know if I have what it takes to be on that level. I'm more on the sidelines of just looking and learning. And I think the biggest thing that I learned is that in the shadow of myself was that I didn't matter and that I didn't have a voice. And I learned throughout all of this that yes, I do matter, that we all matter so much. And I had the epiphany of that each one of us is so important, and we do matter, and we can step up and begin to take complete ownership of that. And this forum has given me the opportunity to really embody me in that aspect of that I do matter, and I do have the ability to contribute. That one, the pebble in the pond changes the entire pond. We think that the pebble in the pond is just one little aspect of it. And we think, oh, how could I ever change the pond? But the pond is the pond until the pebble goes in the pond, and the pond will never be the same again with the new pebble in it, and it reverberates throughout the entire pond. And that's how much each one of us matter. And that's really what I got. That's the biggest gift that I got from going through all of this, from starting in the beginning with Embody U and looking at my ego and looking at where my ego actually stops me from being that important pebble, where my ego stops me from taking that stance and puts me in the sort of programming of what everybody else should be doing, but thinking that I'm changing it, but I'm not really, because I'm not owning these aspects of myself. And then we move into the shadow side where we have, the shadow genesis, where we really have to say, okay, now I've identified through this liquid mirror of my ego, and now I can say, what is the driving force behind that? And what are these aspects of myself that are allowing that ego to drive the car, and not my true self to be the one who is conscious, who is making decisions. And as I looked at everything, I was experiencing challenges as I came in. My mother had passed away. And as my mother, as I was grieving, I was trying, it was a symbol of that femininity in the world being taken away from me. And I was harboring physically that lack of femininity through personal physical ailments happening in my uterus. And, I was basically just, my uterus wasn't holding divine feminine energy. It was holding all the pain and trauma of the lack of femininity in our world. And I was expressing it outward, and I needed a place to go through it and understand it and begin to, through those shadow sides of myself, begin to find ways to organize and really become that divine femininity and let go of the way that the matrix controls each one of us, and the way the matrix controls each one of us and the way that we take it on personally. So I had to really look at everything, lay it all out on the table, and admit everything, admit my part in it, admit my shortcomings, admit my attachment to the matrix, my attachment to watching the matrix and blaming other people, and really come into ownership, come into my power, and be able to really, really birth this new femininity out of myself, this divine femininity that was within me the entire time.
Do you feel like sharing where you live?
Yes. I live in the belly of the beast. I live in Los Angeles, Hollywood, California. I work in the industry, and in 2009, I started to, as I was working in the industry, I started to notice what it was. And I was kind of, the walls were coming in on me like, oh my God, I work for demons. This is crazy, and I just kind of I was researching and hiding in plain sight, in the entertainment industry, and not really knowing why I was there. And of course I had these kind of matrix driven dreams, like I'm a fashion designer. I wanted to be a fashion designer. And of course everybody who wants to be a fashion designer wants their work to be seen. And I thought to myself, like, well, it's better to do things that many people see rather than do things that kind of just live in your closet, like a Van Gogh painting that nobody sees until you die. So I naturally went to Hollywood, and then, through Embody U, through Shadow Genesis, I had to look at my egoic reasons that had nonetheless gotten me to where I'm supposed to be and my mission and my soul's purpose. But I was really, I needed something to say, okay, you got this far, now knock it off. Now get to work. You're here, you're in the door. Remember what you're supposed to be doing. And I've had to release my old concepts of success, my old concepts of even fear, and kind of getting into the drama of it all. And, this symbol, I see this and I see that, and I know who you are and I know what you're doing. And that drama, getting past that is feeding into it. And now getting to this place of destructing everything that I knew, joyfully destructing everything that I knew. And then getting to this place of saying, okay, I'm here. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to live my truth and live my mission without the clouding of all of the unreality that so much so surrounds us?
Beautifully said. And what about your physical symptoms? You were quite ill when you began the process. And I know you also work with an extraordinary physical healer in the midst of this. So,
yeah.
But how is that now?
Yeah. I'm still in the process of, I'm not out of the woods yet. I'm still in the process of healing. I oscillate between 70 to 85% completion. And I know that I still have time, space to go. But I do want to say the one thing that I can really boil down is that in the beginning, with my perspective with healing in the beginning was that was to work with an energy healer or work with somebody, and it was them that they were gonna help me, and I was gonna become healed through them. And I really realized that it's myself who, I'm the CEO of my healing process. I'm the one who creates a team, and I'm the one who really has the last say, and the driving facilitator of my healing process. And I think that sovereignty, that embodiment of that sovereignty, because we can say intellectually, I want to be sovereign, but when you really put it into practice, by setting your intention, by seeing something that needs to be fixed or altered because you're having a physical discomfort, it's in your face. Like, it's not this is an idea, it's physical, it's happening, you can't ignore it. You really, you want to be sovereign about it, but you don't know really how to implement that. And I found the tools to be able to implement, what are the steps to sovereignty? So we can say we're sovereign, but then we can set our intention, and then we have to embody our own sovereignty. And that equals doing and being at the same time, like being that and taking the necessary steps to be that, doing it.
Yes, get it. Totally get it. Perfect. Beautiful. That was very clear. Okay. I would like to go back through all of you beautiful women and briefly, the Paris bombings, the invasion or this refugee crisis / invasion of Europe. How now, after going through all this, and I'm not trying to portray you all as the perfectly healed, and I mean, this is a process. We're all in a process. But what is your perspective? What is your stance? What are you embodying in reaction to this attack on humanity? And I'd like to just go through you all, and then we're going to close after that. And thank you. Do you want to start while you're here, Lauren?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that now that I've gone through all of this work that I'm not completed with, but that, this place that I'm in right now, I think that in witnessing this, what has taken place, I have been unable to be unwavering with my conscious choice to stay in the game and stay in the game, meaning in the game of my own sovereignty, to stay focused. And I am unwavering in my knowingness that I am not going to allow them, whoever they are, I'm not going to allow them to get me off course and to create a diversion for my what's the word? My contribution to this new world. I am not going to allow myself to be knocked off course. I find that the more conscious you get, it's interesting that there are little things in your life that will test you. You'll get these little tests of saying, are you really conscious? Can you really embody that? And you have these points where you say, I am not going to choose to be diverted. I'm going to choose to continue on in a loving, compassionate way. Of course, we love and we use our heart core essence, functioning from that place of love and compassion for all. But we do not choose, I do not choose to be taken off my course. In those moments, I say no, and I say I am going full force with my contribution, because if I personally don't do my contribution, everyone's going to suffer. If you don't personally do your contribution, I'm going to suffer. We're all going to suffer. We're all here. We all have a very, very important role to play. And something like this gives us the chance to unify even further, that we are all one and that we are not okay. We say no to separation. We say no to division. We say no to blaming cultures or blaming gods or whatever, or blaming economic differences, that we are all one humanity, and that's the focus, and I'm unwavering.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go back through the group. Patty, will you address that issue now in closing tonight?
Okay, so I want to know what's going on. I never want to say I don't want to know because it's scary and makes me feel bad, and it's not going to change anything if I know or don't know. I want to know because if I know, then I can just where my focus is going. And I want to know so that I can try to send my intention. I find the most positive way to send my intention. Like, I don't want to say, oh, there's bad guys. Because we all come from the same place. If you get high enough, I believe we all come from the same place eventually. And I think it's time for us to realize that there's no over there, because I can feel that way sometimes. I personally have never been in a space where I can see or hear, feel something like that happening, or it was directly my neighbor. So it's easy for us to not really identify, or to go them or over there, that kind of thing, and get all in up, you know. I believe we do need to get upset, but not in a way that empowers us or disempowers us. It takes our power away. I believe that part of it is to put us on a path of thinking in a fearful way, whatever that is, and which, takes my energy away and gives energy in a place that I don't want it to be. So I think that unless we can in 3D do something, like if I don't, if I live somewhere and somebody was injured, I would help them, but I don't have that. So I want to stay on the path of what my concept of the kind of future that I want to have. So I want to be in the world that I see, but I also want to be in the world that I want, that I'm making with my intention. And what all is going to happen, I can't say. I can't sit here and say, okay, well, I can make it so that nothing will ever, come across that water and step foot into these states. But I just stay in a space of empowerment, because that's what I can do right now.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
That's good. Unless there was something else.
No, I just don't, like Lauren was saying, I want to know, but I want to know on my terms and with my control and my power, and not be, frailing about in fear, because that, we all know that doesn't help anyone. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Patty. Okay. Allison?
Thank you. I had a little background noise, so I didn't hear you call my name. I have a lot of mixed emotions about the events in Paris. I think the place that I want to start is that with our interconnectedness, it's been shown scientifically that when 9/11 happened, the Earth's magnetic field peaked because we all responded. We have an empathic response. And when shock happens of a significant nature, it is impossible, I think, for us not to feel it. And the extent to which we feel it, I think, varies. And I think it's very healthy for us to acknowledge if it does, or, to that extent, if it does or if it doesn't. What we do with it after that is really what's important, because that's when our choice arrives. And as Patty was saying, where do I want my energy to flow? And with Kelly's work, what we learned is energy can be reclaimed. Once it leaves us, it doesn't necessarily stay gone, because energy doesn't disappear. It just is reassigned. And so I have a process that I love using of reclaiming my energy and returning the energy that does not belong to me. And
You want to share that, Allison, with us now?
Sure. I always begin declarations with the words "as a sovereign being," because I need to hear that. I need to be reminded. They, the imposition, they know that we're sovereign beings. They know it better than we do. So I always begin, as a sovereign being, I declare whatever situation it is, healed and collapsed. And I like to retain, embody, and apply all learning. I thank all participants as I reclaim all energy that belongs to me. I also like to add something about purifying the energy as it's returned to me, because I don't necessarily want it returned to me all gunked up. And I return all energy that does not belong to me, purified of my energy signature, and recalibrate it to pure organic love. I return that to the heart core center of the sender if they are organic, and to the heart core center of the galaxy mother if they are synthetic, for transmutation, recycling, that sort of thing. And I conclude with a summary statement that it applies to all dimensions through time and space and on all timelines. And concluding with an audible sound, a clap or fireworks, something of that nature that really anchors it into the 3D.
So this has been essential to your soul reclamation.
Absolutely.
You say many times, and I think it's relevant to speak a little bit more with you on this, that you refuse to accept this artificial timeline, or whatever you want to call what the imposition, and you do this regularly, don't you?
I do it daily. I begin my days by collapsing my dreams, actually, and at the end of the day, before I go to bed, I collapse the day's events and heal and collapse. This is reclaiming our energy. This is coalescing, remembering. It's that word broken up, remember. The aspects of us that have been splintered off, that have been fractured and fragmented off, we are pulling those back together. We are remembering our severed, fractured selves. And reclaiming the energy is essential to pulling ourselves back together, because otherwise it just stays out there and our energy pulse continues to go in all of those directions. So, vital.
Thank you. Liz.
I've been thinking the last couple of days, and I first want to thank Allison for her the declarations, because I use that often. Thank you very much. And I think staying focused, like Lauren was saying, on what our purpose is here, not to get caught in the drama. And yeah, I'll admit, I went into a little bit of fear, and then I went, wait, this is old pattern. This is where I want to go. This is where I want to be, and this is what I want to see happen. I want to be happy. I don't want to live in that. I want to live fearlessly, and I don't want to live in fear anymore. And that's where I'm headed. And by listening to all this, real or not real, I don't know. And I do have some disgust for that we don't know what's real when it's on CNN or, at any news station, or even alternative media. We don't know what is truth and what is not. I guess we just have to find it within ourselves and focus on what we can do as sovereign beings.
Yes. Thank you all so much for being willing to step out and share what has been such an intimate, personal, and deep commitment. George's course is called Safe to Emerge. I love that, George, because it hasn't been safe to emerge. And so the artificial construct has been our incubator to build a false self and to create contracts with an artificial construct and buy into all of something that is pretending to be satiating, that is a complete trap. And the only thing that is satiating is a return to authentic being and authentic presence. And the way that's going to unfold are small grassroots groups like this that decide they're going to move into it together. And may they spring up all over the world now. These groups will repeat if you go to risemultiversity.org and click on our groups, the Embody U groups, Kelly's work, Shadow Genesis, Sienna Lea, Kelly's work, Liquid Mirror, and Sienna Lea, Shadow Genesis. There are new groups starting on regular intervals. It's all there. It is our intention to build community. We're building a whole new arm, which is going to be certification for world servant leaders, to learn not only the centering, but to connect, to collaborate, to build new paradigm projects and ways of life, places, incubators where we can rebirth ourselves out of what's artificial and find places that are satisfying. And we would love you to join us, or the whole idea is to get the training, to be in the incubator for a while, and then to go create your own in your own unique way with your own creativity wherever you are in the world. Well, that's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you. You can check out Rise's offerings, of course. George will be doing Navigating the Matrix 3 in December and beyond. Carla Fox's Ongoing Tools for Transition. She'll be doing December 5 with the chakra removal protocols. And we're bringing other people on. We're bringing on Bood Hickson, who's going to be working in his version of human design, which is an incredible system of understanding what our real design is and why we have such a hard time understanding each other, because we don't know what our organic design is to begin with, and how we really complement and work with each other. And we're going to be expanding with nonviolent communication, and some dowsing, some different kinds of entity removals and clearings with Sven and Susan Carlson. A lot of people are coming on board to round this out into a global multiversity that's going to allow much more manifesting, because, as you all said, our antidote to their agenda is to birth our own.